The Night Fury was never treated like an ordinary dragon. Before Hiccup ever touched one, before Berk ever learned that dragons could be trained, before Toothless became the symbol of peace between Vikings and dragons, the Night Fury was basically a death sentence with wings. In the Dragon Manual, almost everything about it was unknown. Size unknown, speed unknown, the only real advice was to hide and pray it didn't find you. And that already tells you how terrifying this species was. But the Night Fury stayed blank because nobody could study one long enough to come back with useful information. All they knew was the pattern. First, the sky went quiet, then came the whistle. Then the stars disappeared for half a second. Then came a purple flash and an explosion so accurate that it could destroy a tower, a catapult, or a ship before anyone even saw the dragon responsible. That's why the Night Fury became a legend. It didn't fight like a giant brute. It fought like a shadow that picked one target, erased it, and vanished into the dark. But the truth behind the legend is even more interesting, because the Night Fury was not some mindless monster. It was one of the most intelligent, emotional, and powerful dragon species in the entire How to Train Your Dragon world. So today, we're going through everything there is to know about the Night Fury species, from their genocide to their retreat into the hidden world. Let's get into it. Starting with the basics, the Night Fury belongs to the Strike class. That matters because Strike class dragons are built around speed, precision, intelligence, and lethal firepower. The Night Fury is medium-sized compared to giant dragons like the Red Death or the Bewilderbeast, but its body is perfectly designed for aerial hunting. Toothless, the only confirmed Night Fury we follow closely, is about 6 feet long, with a wingspan of roughly 45 feet. That makes him large enough to carry humans, fight other dragons, and dominate the sky, but compact enough to turn sharply, dive fast, and disappear into clouds of darkness. The black scales are the first major advantage. At night, they turn the dragon into a moving piece of the sky. From below, a Night Fury can pass overhead and look like nothing more than a missing patch of stars. The rounded head, retractable teeth, large eyes, ear-like nubs, and smooth body make it look almost harmless up close, but every part of it has a function. The wings give it lift. The tail fins stabilize its flight. The back spines help with control and maneuvering. The body shape lets it cut through the air with terrifying efficiency. The Night Fury does not breathe ordinary fire like a monstrous nightmare. It fires concentrated plasma blasts. These blasts are purple, explosive, and incredibly precise. A Night Fury can use them like artillery from long range, but also control the intensity. One shot can knock someone backward without killing them, another can destroy heavy defenses. The scary part is the accuracy. Toothless can hit small moving targets in midair, blow apart siege weapons, or shoot around people he doesn't want to hurt. The shot limit is where things get messy. The Dragon Manual suggests that a Night Fury has a limited number of shots, usually treated as 6, but Toothless repeatedly breaks that rule across the franchise. In the first film, he fires more during the Red Death battle than the manual would suggest. In the shows, he can fire even more. The cleanest explanation is that the limit applies to stronger charge blasts, or that Night Furies can recharge faster than Vikings understood. Either way, the important point is simple. When a Night Fury is fresh, focused, and angry, counting its shots is a very dangerous plan. Speed is the second reason the species became so feared. Night Furies are among the fastest dragons ever known. Their most famous attack is the dive bomb. They climb high, fold in, drop like a missile, and fire at the last second. To the people below, it feels unfair because the attack is practically over before they realize it started. By the time a Viking hears it, the dragon is already lining up the blast. This is also why Hiccup shooting Toothless down was such a massive moment. He didn't beat a Night Fury in a normal fight. He caught one by surprise with an invention built for precision, and when Toothless crashed, the injury changed everything. His left tail fin was destroyed, and for a dragon that depends on balanced tail control, that means he could no longer fly properly on his own. The most feared creature in the sky was suddenly trapped on the ground. That's where the story of the Night Fury really takes a turn. Hiccup finds Toothless helpless in the forest, tied down and injured. He wants to kill him because that's what Berk expects. Killing a Night Fury would make him a hero overnight. But when he sees Toothless terrified, breathing hard and waiting for death, Hiccup cannot do it. He cuts him loose. Toothless pins him down, roars, and then leaves him alive. That one choice creates the entire future of Berk. From there, Hiccup and Toothless become the bridge between two worlds. Hiccup builds a prosthetic tail fin, but it only works with a rider controlling it. That means Toothless needs Hiccup to fly, and Hiccup needs Toothless to prove that dragons are not the monsters his people believe they are. Their bond is not instant. Toothless tests him. Hiccup studies him. They slowly learn food, touch, trust, body language, drawing, flight, fear, and friendship. The Night Fury legend was built on terror, but Toothless reveals the part Vikings never saw. Night Furies are deeply intelligent. Toothless understands emotion, strategy, jokes, commands, loyalty, and even guilt. His pupils change with his mood. His ears shift when he's curious, angry, relaxed, or alert. He He purrs, growls, sulks, plays, and protects. That personality is why the species feels so different from a normal fantasy dragon. A Night Fury is dangerous because of its power, but unforgettable because of its mind. Then the first movie proves what the Bond can do. During the battle with the Red Death, Toothless and Hiccup face a dragon so massive that most Vikings could not even imagine fighting it. Toothless uses speed, tight turns, and plasma blasts to force the Red Death into the air and eventually bring it down. That fight changes Berk. The dragon once considered the ultimate enemy becomes the reason the Vikings survive. But the larger tragedy of the species is revealed later. For most of the story, Toothless appears to be the last Night Fury. At first, that feels mysterious. Maybe the species is simply rare. Maybe they live far away. Maybe they're too stealthy to find. But the hidden world reveals a much darker answer. Grimmel the Grizzly hunted them. When he was young, he found a sleeping Night Fury and killed it. Instead of seeing that as cruelty, his village celebrated him. That praise turned into an obsession. Grimmel spent his life wiping out the species until Toothless was the only known survivor. That makes the Night Fury story much sadder than a cool dragon profile. Toothless is not special because he's rare in a fun way. He's special because his entire species was erased by fear, pride, and human violence. Grimmel becomes a twisted mirror of Hiccup. Both encountered a Night Fury when they were young. Hiccup showed mercy and changed the world. Grimmel killed one and built his identity around extermination. The third film also expands what Night Furies can do through Toothless' lightning cloak. The Night Fury can vanish by heating her scales through her own plasma and turning reflective. Toothless achieves invisibility differently. He flies into lightning, channels the electricity across his body, and creates a charged glow that lets him disappear against the sky. It's less graceful than the Night Fury's method, but more dramatic, like the old legend coming alive. The unholy offspring of lightning and death suddenly becomes literal. Night Furies also have echolocation-like sensing. In dark spaces, Toothless can release plasma outward and read the returning energy to understand the terrain around him. That makes perfect sense for a nocturnal dragon. If your entire hunting style depends on darkness, speed, and precision, you need a way to navigate when vision alone is not enough. Add sharp hearing, strong smell, night vision, and fast reaction time, and the Night Fury becomes almost impossible to ambush. Still, the species has weaknesses. Toothless depends heavily on its tail fins. Damage one and flight becomes unstable. He can be affected by eels, which trigger sickness and aggressive behavior. Dragon root weakens him. Cold water and harsh environments can drain him. His power also does not remove the need for rest, food, trust, and emotional stability. He is legendary, but still vulnerable. By How to Train Your Dragon 2, Toothless reaches another level. Under Drago's Bewilderbeast, he's forced to kill Stoic, one of the most painful moments in the entire franchise. But Hiccup reaches him emotionally and breaks the Alpha's control. Then Toothless challenges the Bewilderbeast himself. His body glows blue, his spines light up, and his plasma blasts become overwhelming. With his Alpha state, he is a king. The other dragons bow at his dominance, revering him. Then comes the final part of his story, the hidden world. Toothless meets the Night Fury and discovers that even if pure Night Furies are gone, he's not completely alone. The Night Fury represents the wildlife he was always meant to have. Hiccup understands that keeping dragons with humans will always put them in danger. As long as people like Grimmel exist, dragons won't truly be safe. So Toothless leads the dragons away, becoming the king of the hidden world and protecting them out of the reach of humans. Years later, we see his children with the Night Fury, the Nightlights. They're black and white hybrids, carrying pieces of both parents. They're not pure Night Furies, but they don't really need to be. Toothless's bloodline continues regardless. The species that was almost erased still leaves a legacy. And that's the real story of the Night Fury. It begins as a nightmare whispered about in Viking halls. Then Hiccup meets Toothless, and that same creature becomes the proof that dragons were never the enemy. The Night Fury is a powerhouse because of the plasma blasts, the speed, the dive bombing, the lightning cloak, the senses, and the intelligence. But the legend lasts because Toothless is more than a set of abilities. He's the last shadow of a lost species, the dragon who changed Hiccup's life, the Alpha who saved Berk, and the king who carried dragonkind into hiding. The Vikings once said your only chance against the Night Fury was to hide and pray it didn't find you. By the end of the story, the world is praying for the opposite. Because if Toothless had never been found, Berk would have stayed trapped in war, Hiccup would have stayed an outcast, and dragons may never have been saved at all. On a side note, we saw that even the Night Furies have certain weaknesses. But what if there was a dragon that didn't have such a restriction? Well, that's the subject of this other video. Click on this video to see what it would look like if we created the strongest dragon in How to Train Your Dragon history. Go ahead, click it.